Welcome to Meany Hall for the Performing Arts on the campus of the University of Washington and the 2001 University of Washington Freshman Convocation. The Convocation is a celebration in honor of freshmen and their families, welcoming them to the campus community. This marks the 18th such ceremony since the tradition was revived in 1984. It is not generally known that the university held convocations from the 1920s through the 1950s. Records in the university archives do not indicate when or why the earlier convocations were discontinued, but until its revival in 1984, it was at least 20 years since one had been held. Speakers for today's event include University Marshal and Associate Professor of Philosophy Ronald M. Moore, President Richard L. McCormick, Provost Lee L. Huntsman, the President of the Associated Students of the University, Danica S. Yu, and Mary Gates Scholar Leadership Grant recipient Max A. Hunter. The keynote speaker is Dr. P.D. Bursma, Professor of Zoology and Adjunct Professor of Women's Studies. The title of her convocation address is Finding Your Passion. Again, welcome to the 2001 University of Washington Freshman Convocation.
The 2001 University of Washington Freshman Convocation will be opened with a moment of silence for those who lost their lives in the recent tragic events. Following the pause, verses 1 and 4 of America the Beautiful will be performed by Mr. Lincoln Johnson, accompanied by the University Wind Ensemble, conducted by Professor Timothy Saltzman of the School of Music. The audience will please rise for the moment of silence, and then is invited to join with Mr. Johnson in the singing of America the Beautiful. Please be seated. Welcome to Meany Hall for the Performing Arts and the University of Washington Freshman Convocation. I'm Ronald Moore, the University Marshal. In my regular job, I teach philosophy in our philosophy department, but as University Marshal, I lead the academic procession, and as you will have noticed, carry the mace. In ancient days, the mace was a weapon, but here and now, it is a beautiful ritual object and an ancient symbol of authority that reminds us that universities are custodians both of enduring traditions of learning and of the power they bestow on those who come to learn. The mace and these festive medieval gowns we wear on occasions like this are visible links to an illustrious history. This university is not, or not only, a job training institute. It is not a research and development factory, and it is not a post-prep social club. In entering this university, you are at the same time entering a continuous stream of accumulated learning that connects us today with the greatest accomplishments of the past, the greatest writing, the greatest music, the greatest art, science, and philosophy, and so much more, in all times and in all cultures. It is the nature of the university to gather and preserve the best ideas that mankind has hit upon, not to present them as sterile exhibits in some museum of lofty thoughts, but rather to make these ideas a solid foundation from which new ideas can make worthwhile departures. It is the university's way of being liberal to be conservative. We call together all that we have gained from experiment and composition, analysis, invention, and proof to free our futures by ensuring that they develop out of knowledge of our pasts. The mace and these medieval gowns are the symbolic reminders of the university's special way of uniting where we are now with what has brought us here. The great poet T.S. Eliot put the point this way. Someone once said, he remarked, "The dead writers are remote from us because we know so much more than they did." Precisely, he responded. Precisely, and they are that which we know. Today, we are inviting the freshman class to join with us in the grand combination of ideas that unites present-day students with a historical procession of all the various disciplines in this great university, and makes these students part of this ongoing development. I now want to introduce the man who will preside over our ceremony today, the President of the University of Washington, Dr. Richard L. McCormick.
Thank you, Marshal Moore. First, let me express a warm welcome to the students, parents, grandparents, friends, and families of the entering class of 2001 at the University of Washington. We are really glad you're here. Today, the first-year students will begin a personal journey that will change your lives and prepare you for all that follows. There are over 5,000 of you. Each was selected from among many more qualified applicants than could possibly be admitted to the UW. Half of you are women, half men. 80% of you are from the state of Washington, the rest from around the nation and around the world. During the years ahead, you will work and grow together. You will learn from each other as well as from the faculty. And when you graduate from the University of Washington, you'll have an outstanding education and you'll have friends for a lifetime. The beginning of the fall term is traditionally an exciting time, but this year the mood is somber. We are shocked and sorrowful for the terrible losses our nation experienced on September 11th. We are trying to make sense of those tragic events and decide what our individual and collective responses should be. Above all, our hearts go out to the families and friends of those who perished in the tragedies. As the wreckage in New York and Washington, D.C. continues to be cleared day after day, the enormity of the damage becomes more evident, and our sorrow for the human losses won't go away. We sense that our world has been permanently altered. Along with the pain, the crisis has thrust special obligations upon institutions like the University of Washington. It is too early to enumerate them fully, but some of the things our community should do are already apparent. First, we should be a place where every person is treated with respect. Everyone has the same right as everybody else to study, work, and live peaceably on our campus. Next, the University of Washington should renew its commitment to preparing all of our students for citizenship in a global society, for that is where you will surely be, no matter where you actually live and work. Third, we must become a resource for the larger communities of which we are a part, a place where people can come to learn from us and from each other. Finally, we should do all we can to strengthen the alignment of our university's work with 21st century global human challenges in healthcare, environmental protection, economic opportunity, preservation of the human spirit, and in closing the divides that separate rich from poor, literate from illiterate. If these calls and obligations sound familiar, they are. They are our university's traditional missions and obligations, teaching and research in a climate that is free and open, preparing students for a changing world, sharing knowledge with the larger community, and applying our learning to address human problems. But now our university's work is more sorely needed than ever, and you have come to help do it at exactly the right time. So let me say a few words about the institution you are joining today. The University of Washington began 140 years ago, before Washington was a state and even before there were many students capable of benefiting from a college education. In establishing the UW so long ago, our founders were carrying forward a tradition going back to the 17th century in America and the 12th century in Europe. A university was a place of learning, where the old teach the young, and the young repay the debt by transcending the inherited wisdom and teaching another group of young ones. That's an ideal, of course, essential to human progress and more real within a university like ours than anywhere else. In time, our university assumed new responsibilities besides learning, including research, that is, discovering new knowledge, and service, that is, applying that knowledge in the larger world. I hope that besides your learning, you will also get involved in the university's missions of discovery and service. The faculty will give you ample opportunities to do so. The 4 years that lie ahead for you are about much more than getting trained for a job. In today's fast-paced world, you'll probably need to get trained again and again. The next 4 years are also about preparing you for the rest of your lives, for citizenship and community membership, for raising families and advancing civilization. You won't learn to be good at those things if you concentrate your education exclusively on career preparation. Today, you enter the ranks of men and women across the decades and across 2 centuries who have become educated here at the University of Washington. You are not yet the most learned members of our community, but you have the freshest eyes and the keenest enthusiasm. Now more than ever, we need you to use your fresh eyes to spot ways in which the UW can live out its ideals and its obligations more fully, and to tell us what you see. Institutions like ours can be more important than ever, providing they live up to their ideals. So you have come just at the right time. In this sense, to say that we are pleased to welcome you is completely true, but it is also a vast understatement. Your arrival today marks the annual renewal of our university's commitment to the ideals I cited before, and to a proud tradition of learning, discovery, and service that goes back in time and looks forward in time. Without that renewal born of you, we would die as an institution and as a civilization. So it is with more than the usual amount of emotion and pride that I say again to each of you, welcome to the University of Washington. Now I have the pleasure of introducing those who share this platform with me today. First, the Regents of the University of Washington are our governing board, and the Regents are with us today. Let me introduce them all, and then I'll ask you to join me in recognizing them. The Vice President of the Board of Regents, Gerald Grinstein. Regent Mari Clack, completing 12 years as a Regent of the University of Washington. Regent Daniel J. Evans. Regent William H. Gates. Regent Constance L. Proctor. Student Regent Amit Ranaday. Regent Shelley Yap. And Regent Cindy Zender, the Regents of the University of Washington. Faculty share with regents and administrators the governance of our institution. Today we have with us the chair of the University of Washington Faculty Senate, Professor Bradley R. Holt. The provost is the chief academic and budget officer of our university. You will hear from our provost in a few minutes, but please join me now in recognizing Provost Lee L. Huntsman. The vice presidents and other leaders of our university are also with us this morning. Let me recognize them, and then we'll recognize them all. The Vice President for Minority Affairs, Rusty Barcelo. The Vice President for University Relations, Jack Farris. The Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations, Connie Kravis. The Vice President for Student Affairs, Ernest Morris. Associate Provost for Academic Planning, Deborah Friedman. Vice Provost and Special Assistant to the President, Gus Kravis. Executive Assistant to the President, Carol Nichols. Division Chief of the Attorney General's Office, T.C. Richmond. Welcome to you all. The deans of the University of Washington provide leadership for our schools and colleges. That's where the faculty and students are. That's where the teaching, learning, research, and service gets done. So it is now my pleasure to introduce the deans. I'll mention them all, and then we'll recognize them all. Dean David C. Hodge of the College of Arts and Sciences. Dean Denise D. Denton of the College of Engineering. Acting Dean Bruce Baer of the College of Forest Resources. Associate Dean Pete Dukes, School of Business Administration. Dean Nancy F. Woods, School of Nursing. Associate Dean Daniel Hunt, School of Medicine. Professor Meade Emery, School of Law. Dean Patricia W. Wall, School of Public Health and Community Medicine. Dean Arthur Knoll, College of Ocean and Fishery Sciences. Chancellor and Dean Warren Buck. Acting Dean George S. Bridges. Elizabeth Betsy Wilson, the librarian of the University of Washington. And Harry Bruce, Associate Dean of the Information School, the deans of the University of Washington. Student governance is also essential to our university. This morning we have with us the president of the ASUW, Danica SU. I want to introduce her now, but you'll hear from her in a moment. Danica? Representing the university's distinguished teaching awardees, awards given each year to some of the University of Washington's most outstanding faculty members. Representing those winners today is Professor Andrea Kowaleski, Associate Professor of Nursing. Representing the most outstanding students at the University of Washington, dedicated annually as faculty medalists, are our sophomore medalist, David E. Molanin, and our junior medalist, Catherine L. McDaniel. Representing our Alumni Association is its president, Jack David. And now I have the pleasure of inviting to this podium the president of the Associated Students of the University of Washington, Danica Sophia Yu. Her hometown is Vancouver, Washington. She is majoring in political science and minoring in chemistry. She is a senior at the university. Her goals are to study law and public policy. She is an outstanding leader for our students. Please welcome Danica Yu.
Thank you very much, President McCormick. Good afternoon, freshman class, parents, family, and friends. The tragic events of September 11th, 2001 have left an indelible mark on our nation. While daily life may be beginning to have a restored sense of normalcy, with flags raised back to full staff, and with the barrage of special news coverage being replaced by new television sitcoms, there is still that lingering sensation that our lives have been forever changed. And the truth is, our lives have changed. But what's important to remember is that the story does not end here. Like the world around us, our lives are also in a perpetual state of motion. What remains constant is the knowledge that we still have the ability to shape the future that lies ahead. We just have to have faith and continue to persevere. So often, our generation, and American society as a whole, gets stereotyped as a greedy mass of politically apathetic consumers. And to some extent, this has been true. After all, America is part of the 25% of the world population that consumes over 75% of the entire world's resources. We are a society that is often plagued by an intense desire to possess a profusion of material items in hope of achieving some sort of internal fulfillment. But as I said before, the story doesn't end here. Yes, we, as youth of America, have lived fairly sheltered lives. While finances might be a struggle for some, we are still able to have access to clean water and food. While we may not be completely satisfied with our political leaders, we are still able to have a voice in the process. Not everyone can say that. But what truly matters next is what we, as the future of America, I know what you freshmen are thinking. I was just in your place just about 3 years ago. You're thinking, I'm only 18 years old and I just graduated from high school. How exactly am I supposed to change the world when I don't even know what I'm majoring in yet? My answer is this: it will all come together. Whether you excel in the arts, business, or any other discipline, your years at the University of Washington will prepare you to change society. The time you spend in the classroom, in student government, in whatever might pique your interest, this time will help you hone and develop essential skills and talents. I do have one word of warning. When you do leave the UW, you will not be armed with all the answers to solve the multitude of world problems. Instead, you'll have a greater resource. Rather than having all of the right answers, you will instead have the ability to ask the right questions. You'll be able to question existing institutions that perpetuate cycles of racism, violence, and oppression. You'll be able to question the inequities that exist in our world. And by learning how to ask these questions, you'll begin to take steps towards finding solutions. This journey can't be embarked upon alone. You will need a great deal of community support in order to succeed. Look around you. This is part of your community. Freshmen, many of the people you brought here today are responsible for your successful entrance into college. Moms, dads, grandparents, and many others have put a great deal of love and time into you and into your future. Always thank them for the sacrifices that they have made, as they will always be at the core of your community. Over your years at the University of Washington, you will meet new people who will expand this core community. These individuals will come from different racial, religious, and socioeconomic backgrounds. These individuals will be your first roommates, your lab partners, your fig mates. These individuals will stretch your minds and show you the world through different eyes. While building your community here at the UW, remember those who are not here with you. These people are still members of your community. For each seat in this auditorium occupied by an incoming freshman, there are thousands of youth who have been left behind, who have been denied access to higher education. Unfortunately, we live in a society where access to public education at the collegiate level is not a reality for all. Freshmen, be thankful for where you are, and remember those who are not here due to societal and economic barriers. Use your years of education to begin to empower those who are not with you. Learn how to give a voice to the voiceless. And by doing so, you'll begin to eradicate the selfish, individualistic actions that plague our world, and you'll develop a heightened sense of a global community, a community where none of us could exist without the other. Freshman class of 2001, graduating class of 2005, I leave you with one last thought. Freshmen, I challenge you to challenge the world around you. Challenge the person you are now and the person that you will become. Learn characteristics about yourself and humanity that will frighten you, amaze you, and will ultimately change you. Realize that our world is not perfect, and this was so apparent after the terrorist attacks. But take that knowledge of imperfection and move forward. Take steps towards revolutionizing our world one day at a time. And remember that you are one, but you are not alone. In order to make these revolutionary changes, we must work together as a community. Regardless of race, religion, or creed, we must face the world as one courageous and united voice. I wish you all the best of luck this year and in all the years to follow. Thank you and God bless.
And now I have the pleasure of introducing someone who may serve as a model for what you can achieve as a student at the University of Washington. He is Max Hunter, the winner of a Mary Gates Scholarship and a Mary Gates Leadership. Max was born and raised in Southern California. This spring, he will graduate from the UW with degrees in comparative history of ideas, history of science, and Japanese language and literature. As an undergraduate, Max led a prayer network for 30 young men that met for Bible study twice a week. He is also a chaplain at the Juvenile Detention Center and King County Jail. As a result of his work, he received the Mary Gates Leadership Grant to develop a program in the University District that is designed to stop the cycle of criminal behavior in male repeat offenders. Max has also been awarded the Martin Family Honor Scholarship, the McNair Presidential Research Fellowship, the George Newcomb Humanitarian Award, and the Office of Minority Affairs Vice President's Achievement Award. After graduation, Max plans to pursue a doctorate in the history of science. Please welcome Max Hunter.
Thank you, President McCormick. We are here today because you've distinguished yourselves. Moreover, I've been invited to provoke the incoming freshman class to pursue the path of excellence in their academic endeavors. I hope to provide you with some tools that, if utilized, will grant you access to the plethora of opportunities available at the university. I learned these tools from David Callahan, a friend who was illiterate and spent most of his life addicted to drugs, but used these tools to turn his life around. When Dave died in 1998, his approach to life challenged me to return to school and fulfill my potential. In light of the recent tragic events in our nation, we should also recognize the grace that we've received and reevaluate how we steward the gift of life. The first principle deals with motivation through thinking beyond yourself. Another way of stating this is to say, make something greater than yourself the motivating factor for your life. Remind yourself to keep your perspective by continually thinking of others. And remember to take stock of your life and your values so that you aren't caught off guard, blindly pursuing something that doesn't matter in the larger picture. The second principle breathes life into the first, and it deals with action. It is to do everything in a spirit of excellence. Everything. Don't accept less from yourself than you're capable of. And if you're faithful in the small things, you'll find that you'll be made ruler over much. You have to do your chemistry homework before you can slam dunk the final exam. The third principle requires faith, and it releases you from striving for recognition. It is simply that your gift will make room for you. Your gift will make room for you, but not until you exercise it. This implies that you must first either know or discover what your gift is, and all of us have been given a gift. These talents and gifts must be exercised in tasks both great and small, because you don't know how distinguishing yourself in the insignificant things will affect your future. I stand before you today because I utilized these principles in my life. It began when I returned to school and was sleeping in my '78 Volkswagen. I took a history of science course from Professor Keith Benson. It was tough going. He's pretty merciless. I knew if I had a chance, I had to use my one skill, which was writing, and I put everything I had into the term paper. At the end of the quarter, the best I could do was a B, but Professor Benson thought I had some interesting ideas in the paper that I should pursue. As a consequence of his suggestion, I ended up being involved with the History and Philosophy of Science program. And out of gratitude for his faith in me and a love for history, I sank everything I had into the program. Within a year, I had received several scholarships, spent time at Harvard and MIT with some of the best in the field of history and philosophy of science, and I had received an endowment for a year-long research project. An administrator at this university heard me present my research and asked me to speak to you today. Your gift will make room for you. Amen. Think bigger than yourself. Always pursue excellence. Your gift will make room for you. You don't have to make room for it. And I believe in the final analysis you'll discover here at the University of Washington, the only limiting factor in your life is you. Carpe diem. Go forward and seize the day.
Thank you, Max. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the provost is the keeper of the keys. But in institutions like ours, the provost is the chief academic officer. Here at the University of Washington, we are fortunate to have a provost who is not only a brilliant, outstanding academic leader, but is also in his own right a distinguished scientist and teacher in the field of bioengineering. Please welcome Provost Lee Huntsman.
The Provost also has the delight of introducing to you today Professor Dee Boersma. Dee is Professor of Zoology and Adjunct Professor of Women's Studies. She's been at the university a long time, 27 years, and she is incredibly accomplished. Her list of achievements is stunning. Her list of honors and awards is very long. But she didn't come to this standing directly or simply or automatically. She was a freshman once too, and she remembers. Oh, she always knew that she was going to go to college because, after all, Grandpa was a university president. And those expectations come pretty naturally. In fact, she thought maybe she would be a university president someday. She took college by storm. She was very active, and in fact, she was named an outstanding freshman in her university. But along the way, and after that, her focus started to change and to sharpen. And today, she studies the biological diversity of the Earth and the relationship of that diversity to our environment. For example, each year, Dee and her students travel to Argentina to study the penguins there. Not just to learn about the penguins, although there's much to learn, but also to learn about the relationship between that penguin population and what's happening to our environment. These and other studies like them have made Dee an internationally recognized expert in conservation biology. In fact, she's been the president of the Society for Conservation Biology. The title Dee has chosen for her talk today is Finding Your Passion. This is not only a topic that's important to all of us, it's clearly a topic that she has a lot of firsthand knowledge about. Please join me in welcoming Dee Boersma.
Good morning, Board of Regents. Good morning, deans and administrators, vice presidents, faculty, and students. Clearly, this is the bright, shining object, the students before us. It's my great honor and privilege today to welcome you, the freshmen, your families, parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers, extended family, friends, and acquaintances. All of you have come to a truly great university. The University of Washington is home to Nobel Prize winners, members of the National Academy of Science, members of the National Academy of Engineering, National Academy of Medicine, the American Academy of Art, American Philosophical Society. There are National Book Award winners here. There are Young Presidential Investigator Award winners here. And, of course, you all know that there are MacArthur Genius Awards winner at the University of Washington. This is an incredible place. Not only is it incredible because of the rich array of award winners here, but it's incredible because of the dedication of faculty members. And I'm really deeply honored to be able to welcome you to the community of the University of Washington. Thank you all for coming. We know that you freshmen may be slightly intimidated about what goes forward, but let us assure you that this is a small family, and you will learn many of your family members very shortly, particularly as you go to your FIG groups, and I hope you'll take advantage of those opportunities. One of the things that's really important to recognize is the University of Washington is a big business. Last year, $2.4 billion ran the University of Washington, and $234 million came from gifts and grants to the University of Washington. About $707 million came to do external research. And of course, about 15% came from the state of Washington to help with your education. This is a world-class university that far exceeds what the resources of the state can possibly give. And the reason that we are a world-class university is because of the commitment of faculty and staff, our students, both graduate students and undergraduate students, and the rich commitment that all of them bring to the life of this university. But as important as all of these people are, we are really dependent more and more on our friends and on our alumni, which you will soon become, much sooner than you think. And the University of Washington, like any of the private universities, is going to have to depend more and more on your generosity and support for this great university. Because to have a world-class university in the Pacific Northwest is going to mean that we have to have commitments far beyond just the citizenry of the state of Washington. It will take friends, both locally, regionally, and globally, to continue with this sort of operation. Now, I'm pleased that all of you have come today to talk about what will happen to you partly in the next 4 years. But as you all know, the quality of your education here will far exceed what really the financial resources even begin to offer. But it's going to depend on how you seize that opportunity, what you will do in your next 4 years. You've already proven you're extremely talented and bright and accomplished. The average grade point average of the entering freshman class is over 3.6. That means the most common grade for every freshman that's been admitted to the University of Washington is an A. There's no doubt that your parents and you should be proud of your accomplishments. You've already proven your talents and abilities. But of course, none of you got here by yourself. All of us stand on the backs of others. Your parents have helped you, friends have helped you, teachers undoubtedly have helped you, and of course, many of the great writings and books of the past, the ideas of the past, have also guided your development and brought you in some way or another to the University of Washington. Today, bask in your accomplishments. You have done well, and I hope that you have felt that pride from your parents so that you can see how well you have done, that your work has been rewarded. But you can't rest on your laurels. There's no time to really do that. The next 4 years is going to provide incredible opportunities for you, and you need to be able to seize them. Opportunities, though, are not alone. They're like a coin. And if you think about a coin always has two sides. One side you can easily see. The other, sometimes you can't see, particularly when it's on the ground. You may be able to see, but the question is, what is the other side? The other side of that coin is responsibility. And how are you going to do with these responsibilities? The real problem is with a coin, you can always turn it over and see and read what's on the other side. Responsibilities are not easy to read. You often will have to ferret them out and determine what they are yourself, like our young scholars have already talked to you about today. They've certainly demonstrated they've been able to do that. So when you come to the University of Washington, you come not only for the opportunities, but also for the responsibilities. So what you do in the next 4 years is going to be extremely important. Now, there was a survey in the Chronicle for Higher Education. I tend to like to read it kind of like Ann Landers. And one of the things that I found very interesting is they questioned the graduating class and said, do you remember what was said at your freshman convocation? And not surprisingly, very few people remembered anything in their freshman convocation. I actually remembered one of the things that happened in mine. The speaker got up in front of a large audience like this and said, introduce yourself to the person to your right and introduce yourself to the person to your left. There were only freshmen in the audience. And there was quiet, so we had to do this. So we did it. And afterwards he said, one of those people will not graduate. I was scared stiff. I mean, I'd looked at my neighbors, but they'd looked at me. And I thought I might not be the one to graduate. The happy news is things have changed since my freshman days. And in fact, 70% of you will graduate from the University of Washington within 6 years. So graduating is not a problem. Your parents are going to want you to do it in 4 or less. So you need to seize this opportunity and use it well. I hope you remember more from this speech than that you don't need to be scared that you will graduate. What I hope you will remember is that there are really 3 questions that you have to try and answer during the next 4 years. What is your passion? And this is a question you really need to seriously think about. What is your passion? Secondly, how can you make a positive difference for the world? And it doesn't have to be a big difference. It can be simply staying up late at night and helping a friend. It can be volunteering in some way or another. It can be treading more softly on the earth. But figure out something that you can do to make a positive difference, not only for your life, but for the world. And lastly, how are you going to meet the responsibilities as a steward of your community and to the world? These opportunities are given to you, but they come with great responsibilities. To answer these questions, there are 3 things that you're going to have to do. One is you're going to have to learn how to learn. And you're going to do this for the rest of your life if we're successful. So learn how to learn. The second thing that you're going to have to do is explore. You're going to have to explore in order to find your passion. You have to learn what you like as well as what you don't like. And often what you don't like is more important to learn than what you like. Both of those things give you insights into what you might want to do with the rest of your life. And lastly, you have to make a positive difference with your life. You've got to work at leaving this place better than when you found it. So as I say, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be simply doing something for a friend, for your family, for your community, for a larger world, or treading more softly on the world that you are using for a brief period of time. There's a cartoon with a person standing at a podium just like this, leaning over it over a huge audience like today. And the speaker says, eventually we'll run out of food to feed ourselves, fuel to warm ourselves, air to breathe, and this is something we're going to have to learn to live with. We're living in incredible times. There are more people alive now than in the entire history of the world. Over 6.1 human beings are currently in the world. It took all of human history to reach 500 million people. It took nearly 200 years more to reach another 500 million, and so it wasn't until 1830 that the Earth actually reached 1 billion people. And it wasn't until 1930, another 100 years, until we got another billion people. But in the last 25 years, we've added more than 2 billion people to the Earth. We are living in incredible times. No time in human history has there probably been a bigger extinction event underway, greater than the great dying of the dinosaurs. We don't know exactly how many species we've lost. Some scientists say since 1980 we may have lost 1 million species. We don't even know how many species there are in the world. Our knowledge is incredibly limited. We've actually put scientific names on about 1,750,000 species. But there may be 10 million species. Some scientists, in fact many scientists, think that it's probably more like 50 million species. We don't even know how many species there are on Earth, and yet every day, every human in some way or another is dependent on that natural world. And in fact, it's estimated that every day humanity uses at least 40,000 different species for food, for shelter, for medicinal purposes, for medicine, whether they be microbes or fungus or plants or animals. We are living in an incredible time. You've come to the university to debate these problems. You may not find all the solutions, but you will be able to discuss them. You'll be able to look at new directions from different sides, different points of view. You will learn to think. You'll discover new knowledge. We're in the business of training the next generation of problem solvers, and we're glad that you are here because you are so bright and accomplished. But what you do here not only matters to the University of Washington for your 4 years, but well beyond that. I'm not talking about your grades. I'm talking about what you actually do with your learning. Will you really seize this opportunity? Will you take the responsibility to make a difference? Will you leave the world a better place? Once upon a time in a land far away, there was a group of people that knew that there was an undiscovered land that laid out in front of them. And they wanted to figure out who should go and look at this undiscovered land. And they couldn't decide who should it be. Should it be you or you or you? And what they did, these tribes got together and they said, let's figure out a fair way to decide who should go and discover this new world. So they decided the only fair thing to do was to get the head of the General Assembly of all of these tribes, more or less like a United Nations, and set him up to make the decision. He said, okay, I'll make the decision, and I have an idea. What we'll do is we'll build a huge scaffolding, and then I will climb to the top of the scaffolding, and I will take a small feather. And I will drop the feather, and whoever the feather lands upon, they will be the person to go forth and discover and find out in this new land. And I will pick this blue feather because it is beautiful. It symbolizes a rare bird, and so we can know not only rarity and beauty, but also our quest for new knowledge. So the scaffolding was built. There was much discussion amongst all the politicians about who should be chosen for this incredible task. There were mathematical models that were done, simulations of what the air current might be like, where the feather might land. Then there was upset about who would be in what position, so they drew lots to make it fair. So eventually the day came. The head of the General Assembly, he climbed up the steps to this huge podium that he had erected. He took his little blue feather. He stood over the audience, closed his eyes, and dropped the feather. And the feather floated down and down. It got caught on the currents. And about 20 seconds passed, and eventually he opened his eyes. And do you know what he saw? He saw 200 delegates all going. None of them wanted to take responsibility. They were politicians. They didn't want to be explorers. So the point is you have to find your passion. If you find your passion, you're likely to take the responsibility. But if it's not your passion, you'll be a little more worried about it. We actually have had people at the University of Washington that's passion is exploring. Bonnie Dunbar, an astronaut, graduated from the University of Washington. So we've trained not only politicians, but now, what do you have to do to find your passion? Again, your job in college is to do three things. You've got to learn how to learn, you have to explore to find your passion, and you have to figure out how to make a positive difference with your life. You're not here for grades. You're here to learn, to work, and to play. Don't forget that lions play, And when they play with one another, it certainly looks like a lot of fun. But in the end, it teaches them stalking, it teaches them how to cooperate, and how to eventually get that water buffalo. Their play is extremely important in their life and their death, not only for themselves, but for their colleagues, because they're hunting in a pride. You too need to play at the University of Washington. You need to get friends. You need to network. You need to have all of these experiences and activities. And you need to distinguish between what are your wants and what are your needs. You may want a second job to pay for a car, or your car insurance, or to be able to go out to dinner more often, or a cell phone. Those are wants. Your needs are to become actively engaged in this university, to play here and learn, because this will serve you well, just like it would the Lion Cubs. So distinguish how important is that extra job for your needs versus your wants. That's critical for your education. We all saw on September 11th that passion is not enough. Each of those terrorists had a passion, and they made a tremendous difference. One person can make a tremendous difference in both a negative and positive way. Many families will never be the same because of this. Most of us will never be the same. We've been touched by a few individuals that have done horrible acts. They've axed out promise and passion for many. They've snuffed it out. But there were many heroes that came out of this, not only firemen and policemen, but ordinary people that did extraordinary things. If any of us had any doubt that one person can make a difference, we should not have any doubt any longer. One person can make incredible difference in both a negative and a positive way. What is your passion? Can you make a positive difference for the world, even a small difference? Yes, each of us can make a positive difference. You can meet your responsibility. You can figure out how you can help steward Earth's resources. You can learn, explore, and find out what your passion is and figure out how to make this difference. This university is like all others. There are competing views of the world, and we will explore them here while you're at the University of Washington. That's why you're going to take history, language, arts, music, science, social sciences, the humanities. The University of Washington, like the world, is a battleground for ideas. And the best part of life used to be free. Clean air, clean water, clean soil. But humanity is overwhelming many of life's resources, many of these important ecological services. How will society deal with each of these problems? During the next 4 years, you'll determine what your values are, and these are critical. Some disciplines tend toward technological optimism. Their belief system can be characterized in part by the following values. And I'm painting extremes here, but this is the debate that's going on globally. It's going on at the University of Washington. It's going on locally. And those values are, if you're a technological optimist, that technology progress can deal with any challenge. That competition is or should be the guiding principle. That systems are often linear without discontinuities or irreversibilities. That humans dominate nature. That people are out for themselves, and that the market should be and is the guiding principle. And some disciplines are technological skeptics. Technological progress is limited, and the ecological carrying capacity must be preserved. That cooperation should be or is the guiding principle. That systems are complex, nonlinear, with discontinuities and irregularities and irreversibilities. That community comes first. That markets serve a greater good. Truth is not in one or the other, but these are different views, the extremes of the continuum. How you see the future will determine the road that you take, and collectively, it will determine the road that our society and the global world takes. There's a debate over which view is correct. There's certainly a massive debate on how we will use this technology to shape the world. This is not a new debate. This is the debate of the past. It's the debate of now, and it's going to be the debate of the future. I hope your generation will be defined by a sense that one person can make a tremendous difference, and by a sense of an obligation for both stewardship and community. Unlike the cartoon speaker saying we must learn to live with it, we can change the future, not only by our actions, by influencing others to change their actions. I hope that during your 4 years here, you will learn tolerance, for others, that you will learn stewardship of the earth's resources, and that what you do matters. Find your passion. If you find that passion, you'll make yourself an education, and you'll likely make yourself happy for the rest of your life. So learn how to learn. Explore and find your passion, and figure out a way to make a positive difference. Welcome to the community of the University of Washington.
Wow, Professor D. Boersma, what an inspiring, enlightening, uplifting, and welcoming speech. My bet, D, is that many years from now, everyone in this audience will remember those remarks. As our convocation ceremony draws to a close, I want to take this opportunity briefly to thank everyone for being here today, especially to thank the first-year students in the class of 2001 for selecting the University of Washington, and your parents and your families and friends for enabling you to get here. We're so glad that you have arrived, and pleased that you participated with us this afternoon in this ceremony, presenting, explaining, hopefully inspiring you about the University of Washington. And now, to close these ceremonies, I present Marshal Ronald Moore.
The 2001 Freshman Convocation of the University of Washington is closed.